Hey, what's up, guys? So this one is really crazy. So first off is that there's Cat releasing soon, so I have some B-roll footage in the background so that can just keep you entertained while we cover this crazy thing called the rumor. So the rumor is technically impossible to prove without access to the game engine, which is kind of strange in my situation because for another 3x3 or another 3v3 basketball game, I did have access to the game engine onto the dev server. So it made it super weird because I have seen this bin theory in action before, and I can confirm that it does exist on certain games. So let me explain the rumor. The rumor is that you receive a stronger buff or stronger effect from stats in groups of +5 or +10. I can't say I'm sure because I don't know which one it is. But in theory, the explanation would be, say you can have 153 point, 145 mid-range, and 145 dunk. That would be stronger than, say, having 149 3-point, 149 mid-range, and 149 dunk. Even though there's more total stats, the first one hits the breakpoints and everything else is considered excess. So you're not getting a boost from 145 to 149. So that extra 4 stats does not count for much. So another thing is you'll notice in enhancements, almost everything is either +2, +3, which gives you +5, or to be +5 3-point, +5 rebound, +5. Everything is sectioned in +5s, just like the partners, as you've noticed. So let's take an example. For JJJ, that's a character I use very frequently. I can show you how this would work or a live example of how to break this down. Here goes my JJJ's attributes. Right now, things that defenders like are vertical, block, movement. In JJJ's case, he doesn't need steal, but strength because he goes against strength-based players like Dirk and LeBron sometimes. Consistency is good too. So obviously, I would want my JJJ to have good 3-point, good block, good vert, movement, and strength would be good. Consistency would be a nice bonus. Right now, I only have 119 3-point. So let me see what I can do to get rid of that. I would probably start with clothing because that's the most obvious choice. And I can clearly take away 1 block from the back piece and get my 3-point to 120, which is fantastic. If you look now, strangely enough, my block is dropped to 134, which is no big deal because I can get that back, of course, right? So let's see what I can do to get more block without dropping my 3-point. I can't drop my 3-point, which means I can't touch my potentials up top, and I cannot touch my clothing. I can go here and I can replace this for maybe, let's say, block party. If I want to get some block party, I can use one of those, and now I have the adequate 3-point. But let's take a look and see what that does. Now my vertical is slightly too low, which is totally fine. Let's see if we can rectify that with another change. So in order to get my vert up, launch ready gives me +6. I can probably go down here and see that I have +16 vertical. I guess I can try to give up my 3-point on gunfire and try to get something like a few textbook shots to give me, here, give me 1 second. A few textbook shots to give me just enough vertical that I need. And then for the 3-point, I can get this back for maybe in and out, right? And if you notice, it's kind of balanced so that no matter what changes I make, when I'm at those breakpoints, when I take away from one thing, I will never be able to get meta stats that I want to all balance out. And that seems to be by design. So let me give you another example. So for an example, if you look at this JJJ, this build seems good and it's pretty solid. But if I want to get that +69 move to +70, then I need to take 1 from the 3-point from my clothing, and I need to take away 1 away from strength. And when I do that, my 3-point, the only way to get it back would be to use more in and out. And if I need to use more in and out, then I need to get rid of a launch ready, which means my strength is going to go down below 140. Or I need to remove the block party, and then all of a sudden, my block is going to go below 135. So this is kind of how this whole bin theory works. So let me give you another example. Now that you've seen how it works with the in-game method, I'm going to show you how it works on the website because that's much easier. So let's take a look. Another interesting thing that you'll see is something called on-fire buffs. So if you look at these on-fire buffs, for example, this week we have SGA and Curry. So let me show you what SGA looks like. The ideal build for an SGA is probably 22 3-point and 22 dribble, ankle breaking, etc. So if we see here, with the 3 points from the clothing, and he has a mid-range partner, and he has 22, what exactly is SGA missing? He's missing precisely 1 3-point, and that is precisely how much the on-fire buff gives you, which is kind of strange, right? But maybe that's just like a coincidence. unless we go ahead and check again another character like Curry, which I'm familiar with. So let's go with Curry. In Curry right now we have, let me see, we'll give him +8 because he does have a 3-point partner. And instead of doing 22, let's just give Curry +25. So here we go. Now we've given Curry +25. And what is his 3-point stat? His 3-point stat is 177, which is not at any breakpoint, but it's pretty interesting that if we go and check our on-fire buffs, Curry gets +3 points. So let's give that on-fire buff to Curry right here. And if we add 3 more 3-point to what he has, what do you know? That's a rounded number of 180, which is awkwardly suspicious. Now, on my last vertical versus rebound video, someone asked me like, hey, what's up with your AD's build? My AD doesn't get that high. And at first I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But then I realized he was referring to the on-fire buff. So let me show you AD. So if we take a look at AD and give him the most obvious build, which is, I'll just put it here instead of going through. He has a +5 partner. Then he has the 2 stacks, which gives him a total of +25. And then we'll give him the +25 rebound right here. I'm just putting something on, so don't mind this choice. And then let's give him his close for max rebound, which will give him 2 more. And if you notice right now, what does that give AD? His rebound in this situation is +178. He can't reach that 180 mark unless he's on fire, which happens to give +2. So anyways, this is the really strange rumor, and this is how it goes. I can't say that I don't believe it because it's just so much coincidence that it's really hard to deny. And if you want to check it yourself, you can pick almost any character. The stats that you would want for that character is very hard to get a balance of maybe 3 or 4 stats, all to align specifically on a +40, on a +5 mark or a +10. And that's why this rumor seems very likely. And also, like I said, I've seen it before in Basket Trio, which I do have dev access to. And in that situation, that game is super simple. Everything is super linear. There was something like the contact fail mechanism, which made no sense to me. Everything was all over the place and the numbers just kind of jumped around. And then I realized that if you factor in like +25 bins in that game instead of +5 or 10s, if a character had like +24 contact difference, there was a insignificant amount of contact failing chance. But if it went to +25 or +26, that contact fail would jump up like 15% or 16%, and it was completely crazy. So I don't want to get any proprietary data or anything of that nature. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the footage. Hopefully you see this cat completely frying. I'll leave that going in the background. And I don't know what to say besides this is a crazy rumor. It's up to you whether or not you want to believe it or whether or not want to make your builds on it.